Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel, the main event here, and today we're going to be going over some Pokemon that you could use to replace Urshifu Rapid and Single Strike. Question of the day, which banned Pokemon will you miss the most? Because obviously we're going to be facing a lot of Pokemon that are no longer in the format. We went through just about a year of having a ton of really strong Pokemon available to us, not including the restricted who were only available for a few months, I want to say. So now we're going to be looking for replacements. Before we start, I do ask, just keep an open mind because the format is new and the power load is going to be weaker. So some of these Pokemon may seem strange at first, but I think they could work if you are really looking for a replacement and trying to have a lot of fun. So obviously we know what Urshifu is. We look at the stats here just for a point of reference. Very physically bulky, 100 HP, 100 defense, 130 attack stat, middling speed stat with 97, not very specially bulky, no special attack. Water fighting and fighting dark are the types. So we're going to go through first some water types that I think are good vibe replacements. The first and most obvious one we'll get out the way is Palafin, obviously. Palafin has a higher attack stat than Urshifu and also has access to like Wave Crash, right? Which is stronger than the moves that Urshifu has access to. Surging Strikes is like basically 75 base power before you consider like the crits, which brings it up to over 100 base power, which is nice, right? But Wave Crash is just like stronger on its own. And then not only that, but Palafin's attack is stronger as well. So Wave Crash is always just going to be stronger than Surging Strikes. And whereas like the Urshifu tend to run like Scarf, no, I don't need to type Scarf, whatever. The Palafin usually runs stuff like Mystic Water, right? So its water type moves are way stronger than Urshifu's, if we're being completely honest. It's just that Urshifu is very good on lead and breaks to protect and kind of cheats and all that stuff. Palafin you have to switch and it's etc. But it's actually stronger than Urshifu is. And obviously you can set up on Palafin, whereas you can't set up on Urshifu because it crits. But again, just in natural raw strength, like just the natural that muscle, Palafin is a stronger Pokemon in the literal sense of the word. Yeah, so like Wave Crash also has a better priority move in Jet Punch. Jet Punch with 60 base power makes a lot of difference, especially on the 160 attack stat, especially with holding the Mystic Water, which it consistently holds because its bulk is good. 197 is basically equal to Urshifu's physical bulk, and 87 speed def is way higher, right? So if you invest in your HP, which gets up to 207, your bulk spread is just going to be very nice. Even if you have less HP or whatever, like it's still going to be very nice. If you're around 200, you'll take a lot of hits that you'll be surprised that it can take. So Palafin is just going to be an awesome Pokemon. Obviously it gets like support in like Haze, Sub, Taunt. Usually you just run water moves on this thing and then you run a support move and protect. You just kind of figure it out from there. So let's move on to another one. Basculegion. So Basculegion is definitely a super great value version, whereas you also have Wave Crash and you don't have Jet Punch, you just have Aqua Jet. But you do have more of a dual stab threat with Last Respects. Which is something that Urshifu is always really good for, right? Is that it's not just a water type attacker, it's a fighting type attacker too, right? So you do have a dual stab threat with Last Respect. Last Respect is a very powerful move that goes up in 50 for each time a party member is fainted. So it starts at 50, and if all 3 party members are fainted, it's base 200. If 2 are fainted, it's base 150, etc. So in end games, it's really strong. Where Urshifu would always hold the Scarf as well. This has Swift Swim, so you can have it in range to manage the speed here. And then you can also, once again, run an item like Mystic Water. You can run Choice Band. You can run Clear Am if you want to not be intimidated, because Urshifu's Rapid Strike is unintimidatable because it always crits. So if you want to really copy the Urshifu at home stuff, you would go with something like Clear Amulet so that you can make sure your moves are not being weakened by Incineroar and the like, any other intimidators that might be there. Trust me, it's going to be Incineroar. Next up is going to be Azumarill. Azumarill is going to be a huge power ability. So Azumarill's stats, its physical bulk is a little bit less than Urshifu, but its special defense is higher, so it's a little bit more balanced on the bulky. And 180 is not bad. You can actually like work with that. I know its attack stat looks kind of funny, but huge power doubles the attack stat, right? And it doesn't double the base attack, it doubles the raw number. So it's 70 here. If you go to Adamant, it goes to 77. And then if you go to like you get to 112, and then it doubles at 112, right? So it's actually 224, which is like stronger than than like Palafin, which is funny enough. Yeah, it goes to the 224, so that's a really high attack stat. Just like the Basculegion, it is a dual stab threat if you consider Play Rough a threat, which it is if it lands, right? Really good defensive typing in Water Fairy. like your water typing, make sure you're not weak to steel type moves. You're just weak to poison, you're weak to grass, and you are weak to electricity. I think that's the only weaknesses it has, but it has the water resistances where it resists ice, it resists water, neutral to steel, which like I said is good for fairy. Fairy is also weak to fairy, not weak to fairy, can't hit fire types, but the water typing can, so it's a really good typing overall. Usually go with those two attacks, something like protect, maybe aqua jet for the priority. Remember, this is like the Urshifu at home stuff, and Urshifu usually ran two big moves, aqua jet, protect. It doesn't have any pivoting, which Palafin does. For example, you can go like flip turn on Palafin if you want to replicate the U-turn stuff, and so does Bassi Legion. Azumarill doesn't have any pivot moves, I'm pretty sure. You could also just run like belly drum stuff, but I would just recommend using AV or clear AV, clear amulet, trace band, and mystic water, and just going more offensive with this thing. I think taking the time to set up belly drums on Azumarill is not necessary, where you could just power it up with an item in rain, right? Because rain is very easy to get up in this format. So mystic water or choice band or life orb or AV, the attack that's already really high, so maybe AV because you just want the extra bulk. You can go like max, you can go trick or sweeper, go 0 speed. You have options here. So I think that Azumarill is actually a viable candidate. For a while, I think Azumarill actually didn't win an international tournament. Didn't Gavin win with Azumarill? I don't remember if he won, but he did really well at the very minimum with the Azumarill reign. And he had dropped Palafin. I know Gyarados is more of a supportive type, but I think that you can use it as a sweeper, right? Like you can go like a clear amulet set and then like Dragon Dance. And Dragon Dance gives you, no, it's Dragon Cheer. I said Dragon Dance. There we go. I think after a dance, Gyarados is actually a really good threat. A bit reversed to Urshifu in the bulk, where 79 is not that high, but it does have the Intimidate, right? Which kind of makes your like your bulk go a longer way because it's intimidating the physical attackers. And the special defense is nice, right? 195 is good special bulk. And then like you can go with like a waterfall or something like that. You don't really need to run Iron Head anymore because there's no Flutterman in the format. So you could go with like Terra Blast, which I think is a very, very viable option. And then like Protect. You could also go like Safety Goggles. Urshifu ran Safety Goggles at Worlds last year, so I think it's viable. You can even run like Taunt Gyarados if you want, but I think the setup version is going to give you the best approximation of like that damage that water Urshifu did during its reign of, I guess, terror to some people, but reign of dominance to me. Now these last two are going to be actual approximations in the typing. We have two water fighting types. So this one is the Charles Paldea Aqua, which also has Intimidate. It doesn't have like a Dragon Dance type move, but it does have bulk up if you want to get some more bulk. But overall, it gets Wave Crash, which is the strongest type water move in the game, and it gets Close Combat, right? So it gets the strong water move that Urshifu does not get. A little bit weaker in the attack, but physical bulk is good. Speed is a little bit better than Urshifu's. Special defense is a little bit better, but not enough to make that much of a difference with the HP being lower. So that's a bit of an issue, but again, it gives you the approximation, right? And again, it gives you the Intimidate ability, which is different to the like the what is it? Unseen Fist is way different to Unseen Fist. It's more supportive, but again, it gets the really high base power moves. It gets Close Combat and it gets Wave Crash, so it can still do tons of damage. You can run it like that, like how you would run Urshifu with 2 attacks, Aqua Jet, Protect, but it also has like the versatility to run stuff like Bulk Up. I don't think this one gets like Taunt, unfortunately. Yeah, it does not get Taunt, but you can run this with Clamor Goggles as well. You can run it with Life Orb, you can run it with Sash, you can run it with Scarf. You have a ton of options here. And I think Tauros probably is just like a cool guy. The weakest one out of them all is probably this one, the Quaquaval. But Quaquaval can get out of hand if left alone really quickly. Like overall, the stats are worse than Urshifu, right? Less HP, less attack, less defense, a little bit more speed def, less speed, right? Does have the water fighting. I think it does get Wave Crash as well. It gets Wave Crash, it gets Close Combat. But what it does get also, as opposed to Aqua Jet, I think it does get Aqua Jet. But you probably may not want to run that, or you might drop Wave Crash and go for Aqua Step. Aqua Step is 80 base power, so it's not as strong, but it does give you a speed boost, which is nice in this format because the 85 and +1 is going to outspeed a lot of things in this format. And then if you get a knockout on the same turn you use Aqua Step, you go up 1 speed and then you go up 1 attack, right? With the Moxie. So I think like a clear set on this is actually pretty good, because then you can close combat things, Aqua Step things, get KO. You can go for a Terra Water, maybe get a really boosted Aqua Step. And then you have your stab here. You kind of just need Protect at that point. You could go Aqua Jet, or you can go something like Brave Bird to hit like grass types. So I think that's an option for your Coquavel, if that's something you're interested in doing. Like I said, keep an open mind. These are all the great value versions of Urshifu. None of them will ever be exactly as good as Urshifu, but now that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a level 8, a regulation H level replacement. So Darkfu doesn't have as many comps in my opinion. King Gambit probably being like the best physical dark type you'll find. Not probably, it is the best physical dark type you'll find. It doesn't have Wicked Blow, unfortunately, but it does have Kowtow Cleave, right? Wicked Blow is definitely stronger than Kowtow, but Kowtow is doesn't check accuracy. So like this is really good for those Muck Smeargle kind of comps where like you can like just blow up Muck. Especially because Muck tends to try to just like poison you, and Smeargle can't really hurt you anyway, because all it wants to do is stay on the field and die, and then give up the boost to the Mucks. It does have a really high damage output though. Like Black Glasses, Kowtow Cleave, I'm pretty sure. With the increased base power and the attack being a little bit higher than Urshifu's with 5, and the Black Glasses, I bet they're pretty comparable in strength. It's just that the crits go through defense boost, right? So like our Charladon and stuff like that, this would have to set up a few times if our Charladon has defense boost, where Urshifu would just punch through it. But again, Urshifu at home, baby. It does have the priority Sucker Punch just like Darkfu does. Has Iron Head for fairy types or for other dark types, neutral things that resist dark. Or you can go with both. You can go with the setup set, Swords Dance, and then you can go like Protect. It is a ton of other moves. So it does get fighting moves like Low Kick. It gets Brick Break if you're worried about screens. So you could use a fighting type move in one of those spots if you want like a more approximation. You can go with items like Black Glasses, Life Orb. I like Goggles. I think Lumberry is good for burns. So it has a lot of different things you can do with it. Its bulk overall is much better than Urshifu's, like 100. HP is the same, 120 defense is higher, 85 special def is much higher. So 100 HP and 85 special def goes a way longer way than 100 HP and 65 special def, right? So this thing is going to give you a lot more of that. It's not going to give you any of the speed, so you might want to actually, but the speed's not that important, right? Because it's so bulky. You can run it in Trick Room, or you can just run it at neutral speeds and just like blow things up with Sucker Punch. It's just priority. Sucker Punch is one of the strongest Sucker Punches you'll ever see, and it's unintimidate proof. It's intimidate proof, right? You can't, like Urshifu, you can't intimidate Urshifu's like main attacks like Surging Strikes and Wicked Blow, but you can intimidate close combat Sucker Punch. Whereas this thing's Kowtow and Sucker Punch can't be intimidated because Defiant would just give it a boost. So that's probably going to be the best physical dark type attacker that you'll be able to find that isn't Urshifu. Next we have Honchkrow. Shout out to Marco. So I should probably be recording with shortly. This is just going to be like super duper great value Urshifu, right? It's just super luck. Critical hit ratio is raised by 1 stage. Night Slash has great critical hit ratio, so you just like click the button and make sure you just crit. You don't crit every time with those two. I think with the scope lens you might also crit though, because I think you get 1+1. I think you always crit Night Slash if you do run the scope lens. The Sucker Punch has a chance to crit with super luck and scope lens. So you could just like super duper crit heavy, like Brave Bird for dual stab and then Protect. Honchkrow's stats leave a little bit to be desired. Because his defenses are pretty garbage, right? 52. 100 HP is nice to help shore that up, but 52 is kind of bad, and 71 is pretty mid as well. But you can kind of like use your priority move, I guess, if you want to work on that. You can kind of hit like an attack bump. Like if we have Adamant, let's try Adamant. Let's see, 1, 2. So you get like a small attack bump, or you can go higher and get like one of the higher ones. Yep, that's another high one. If you want to like max out your HP so you can get the most out of your bulk. Maybe some speed to try to like outspeed like some slower Rillabooms or something like that. Or you could just like use it on your bulk if you want, right? Just try to like shore up here so you can take more hits. So yeah, Super Luck would give you the most approximation for the crits. Moxie would then give you a boost if you were to get KOs, but I think if you want the crit stuff, you go with Super Luck. Then we're gonna go with just 2 pure fighting types. Conkeldurr is one of them. I think Conkeldurr is a really good pick in this format. Also it has the biggest, like this, as far as stat distribution, it's like Trick Room Urshifu, right? Because very physically bulky, 105 HP and 95, so their HP and defense total equals the same as Urshifu, right? Because Urshifu was 100, this is 105, 95, so the physical bulk is basically the same. Conkeldurr is stronger, it has a higher attack stat, same speed def, so it's very weak on the speed def side. It's just really slow, but slow is not bad, right? Because you can always run it in Trick Room. A couple of abilities, the best one being probably Guts. So you can hold your orb. Urshifu could be burned, right? But Congealer can't be burned because it has Guts. Guts also makes it where you can't be like put to sleep or paralyzed and stuff like that. You can't be frozen because you already have a status condition on you, and it also increases your stats by 1.5, which is basically a choice band boost. So if you, it's not intimidate proof with Guts ability, but like if you go -1, you're still at neutral, right? Essentially, and 140 neutral, like drain punches in close combat are going to do a ton of damage. Drain punch, close combat. It does have the priority in Mach Punch, so you have like choices there, right? You can go with like a dark type move if you weren't worried about hitting ghosts with like knockoff. What else is there? Does it get any steel type moves? Oh, it gets bullet punch, right? It doesn't get bullet punch. Does it get any steel type moves? I don't remember. Hard press is kind of whack, bro. I was thinking about hitting fairy types. It gets like poison jab though. I know that for sure. But it gets a lot of the, I don't know if it's activated, if Iron Fist activates poison jab, but it does get Iron Fist to boost its punching moves, which does work on drain punch for sure. It works on ice punch, it works on thunder punch. I think this thing gets fire punch too. I think it gets all the punches. I mean, look at them fists, right? You ever seen a fist that big? Have you ever seen a fist that big? So yeah, this thing gets all the punching moves. Like I said, more of a trick room threat than a sweeper outside of trick room. I think also gets Mach Punch boosted for Iron Fist as well. So that's a choice you'll have to make for yourself if you want to go Guts or Iron Fist. I think the Guts boost is so much more worth it, I guess, than the Iron Fist boost, just because Iron Fist also gives you the secondary benefits of not being able to get frozen, put to sleep, or paralyzed. So I think I'd probably go with that. Just go with the Guts. And you can always like switch this thing out, right? Because once you have the boost up, if you get intimidated, you can always like switch it out, and then you come back in, and now you have like your Mach Punches at +1, right? Like, and this thing is the base 140 attack stat. Let's see what the attack stat is, just like adamant max attack, right? 211 is really off the charts. That's stronger than Urshifu's, right? So, and Mach Punch is 40, which is equivalent to like water Urshifu's. So yeah, that's the best fighting type option that isn't like Annihilate. Annihilate isn't on this list because Annihilate doesn't feel like it has the, it feels like it plays way too far, like way too different, I guess, to Urshifu. So I didn't want to include it here. I wanted to look for like more Urshifu at home stuff. I did include Gallade, which probably also fits the criteria being way too different. But I think like the sharpness, giving you the 1.5 times boost is kind of the same as like, for me, it feels more of an approximation to the critical hit factor, right? Because yeah, it's not critting all the time, but essentially it is, because it's multiplied by 1.5 times for all your sharpness. So Sacred Sword, which is not as strong as like close combat normally, but it's, you're boosted. So instead of 90, it's 90 plus 45, which is like base 135, which is stronger than close combat. You get Psycho Cut, which is another sharpness boosted move, which is a high crit ratio. So like you can crit with Psycho Cut after already getting a boost of 35. So it's like a 105 base attack kind of thing. Then you can like get the crit boost on top of that. And then you figure out your last move. You want Protect, you want Wide Guard, maybe you run Sash, maybe you run Clear Amulet. But like, this thing is gonna be like really strong in this format, just because the def is really high. HP is not great, attack's really high for the format. 125 is good. Defensive 65 is kind of a reverse of the Urshifu in that sense, whereas 115 spread def is really nice, but the 65 defense is kind of garbage. Speed is middling. You can probably run it like a negative nature if you want to be on a trick room, or you can run it outside of trick room on a tailwind. It's kind of just up to you. Obviously, you're going to run the sharpness and nothing else. It's the only thing you're going to run. Anyway, that'll probably be the video there. So thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what other Pokemon you would like me to go make a list for at-home versions of. So like, there's something out there that's banned and you want me to talk about replacements for it, I'll do my best to find some for you. You guys recommend in the comments below. Otherwise, question of the day, which banned Pokemon will you miss the most? So thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for watching. Click like for your boy. Subscribe if you are new and become a member if you are so inclined. And I'll see you guys in the next video.